I never thought I'd be the kind of guy telling a story like this. I always believed that trust and love could get you through anything. That once you build something real with someone, they'd protect it like you do. But I was wrong. And this story, my story, is about how I found that out the hard way. It started like any other normal relationship. Her name was Emily. She was charming, funny, the kind of woman who made you feel like you were exactly where you were meant to be. We met through a mutual friend at a birthday dinner. I remember the way she laughed at something I said, not just politely, but genuinely. That laugh stuck with me for days. Before I knew it, we were texting non-stop, then calling, then meeting up every other night. Things moved fast, but they felt right. At least, at the time. Fast forward 8 months and I was all in. I introduced her to my family. She got close with my younger sister. We even talked about moving in together. I had no clue what was going on behind the scenes. No warning signs. No weird behavior. Or maybe there were, and I just didn't want to see them. One night, around 11:30 p.m., I got a message from a guy I'd never met before. It wasn't rude, but it wasn't friendly either. All it said was, "You might want to ask your girl about last Saturday." That was it. At first, I thought it was some mistake or someone trolling. But the more I thought about it, the more my stomach dropped. So I asked her. Straight up. Her face went pale. She said it was a mistake. That it didn't mean anything. That she was drunk. That it would never happen again. And like a fool, I believed her. I wanted to believe that people can make one mistake and still come back from it. I wanted to believe that she meant it when she said she regretted it. We argued, cried, stayed up all night talking. And for a while, it felt like we were putting the pieces back together. But then, it happened again. And this time, I found out on my own. No messages. No warnings. Just one night, something didn't sit right with me. Her phone buzzed while she was in the shower, and I saw a name I didn't recognize. Curiosity got the best of me, and what I found shattered everything I thought we had. This isn't just a story about cheating. It's about betrayal, about the lies we convince ourselves to believe, and about what happens when someone you love chooses to hurt you more than once. If you've ever been through something like this, or even if you haven't, I promise, you'll want to hear what happened next. Because trust me, this story isn't over yet. Not even close. I stared at the screen, heart pounding. The message wasn't just casual. It had history. Inside jokes. Late night timing. The kind of back and forth that doesn't happen overnight. This wasn't a one-time mistake like she had said. This was something deeper. Ongoing. And the worst part? She had looked me in the eye, held my hand, and promised that it was over. That it was just one slip. That she loved me and couldn't believe she almost ruined us. But here it was, proof that while I was trying to forgive, she was still hiding. I didn't confront her right away. I couldn't. Part of me didn't even know how to process it. I went through the entire next day acting like everything was normal. She smiled at me like she had nothing to hide, made breakfast like she always did, even sent me a picture during her lunch break with a miss you text. I kept staring at that photo, thinking how someone could lie so easily and still act like they care. That made it worse. A few days passed, and I started piecing more things together. Small details from the past that I had brushed off suddenly made sense. The random moments she'd get defensive over her phone. The last-minute plans with friends that didn't quite add up. The shift in energy that I tried to explain away as stress or bad moods. Looking back, it was like trying to solve a puzzle where I had all the pieces in front of me but kept forcing them into the wrong picture. I started noticing things I hadn't before. Late-night texts she'd quickly swipe away. Phone calls she'd take outside. A few times, I heard her whispering in another room, not arguing, just talking low and fast, like she didn't want to be heard. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but something in my gut told me I already knew the truth. I just didn't want to admit it yet. But there was one moment that really broke something inside me. We were out at dinner, and her phone lit up. I didn't even see the name. But the way she reacted, quick panic, pushing the phone face down, smiling at me like nothing happened, that was it. That was the moment I knew for sure. What I didn't know was just how far it had gone. Or who he really was. And once I found that out, everything changed. The next few days were a blur. I couldn't sleep. Couldn't eat. My mind was stuck in a loop, replaying every moment, every conversation, trying to figure out what was real and what was fake. I started pulling away without even meaning to. I was quiet around her, colder. She noticed, of course, and kept asking if I was okay. I kept saying I was just tired. But inside, something was cracking. The worst part was pretending I didn't know what she was doing, while she pretended nothing was wrong. Then something strange happened. One night, I went to grab her phone charger from her bag. I wasn't even snooping, at least, not that time. But when I reached in, I found a folded piece of paper tucked inside the zipper pocket. It was a handwritten note. Just a few lines. It didn't say a name, but it said enough: last weekend was unforgettable. I still think about the way you looked at me when no one was watching. That was all it took to flip everything upside down. I kept the note. Still didn't say anything. But now I was watching her more closely. Her mood swings. The way she'd light up randomly from a message, then go silent and distant. I started wondering how long it had really been going on. Was this something new, or had it started months ago, back when I thought we were at our best? Around the same time, a subplot began forming in my mind. There was this guy from her office she used to mention. Marcus. Just in passing. Nothing suspicious on its own. But once, way before any of this started, she had said something weird like, "Marcus is funny in a kind of annoying way." It was the kind of line that sounds harmless until you're looking for clues. Then suddenly it's not so harmless. One evening I waited outside her workplace, sat in my car a block away. I didn't plan to do that, it just kind of happened. She walked out a little after 6, and not alone. She was with a guy. Tall, clean-cut, well-dressed. They weren't holding hands or anything. But it was the way they stood too close. The way she laughed a little too hard at whatever he said. The way he looked at her like he knew her better than I ever could. I didn't confront her that night either. I just drove home in silence, gripping the steering wheel, knowing things were about to come to a head. That night I didn't sleep. I kept replaying that moment outside her office over and over again. Her smiling, standing so close to him, like they had their own little world, one I was never invited into. I kept telling myself maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe it was still something that could be fixed. But deep down, I already knew. Something was happening behind my back, and whatever it was, it wasn't innocent. The next morning, I left for work early. But I wasn't headed to the office. I parked outside her apartment and waited. I wanted to see if he'd show up. Or if maybe she'd sneak out while thinking I wasn't around. It felt crazy, like something from a movie, but I couldn't trust anything she said anymore. And when trust disappears, you start searching for proof just to hold yourself together. Hours passed. Nothing happened. But around noon, her phone location popped up. Yes, I had checked it before, but never told her. She was at a small cafe downtown. Not unusual, except it wasn't close to her workplace. I drove there, heart pounding, not knowing what I'd do if I saw her with him again. And there she was. Sitting in the corner booth, leaning across the table, eyes locked with someone I couldn't see clearly from the window. But when I moved closer, it hit me. It was the same guy from the other night. Marcus, I was sure of it now. They weren't touching, but their body language said enough. It wasn't a work meeting. It wasn't just lunch. It was more than that. I backed away before they could see me. I didn't want a scene. Not yet. I needed to plan how to handle this, how to ask her without her twisting it into something it wasn't. The lie she told the first time still echoed in my head. It was a mistake. It'll never happen again. But here she was, doing it again, like none of it ever mattered. Like I didn't matter. I knew I had to confront her. But I also knew this time, it couldn't just be a conversation. This was deeper. This was betrayal wrapped in denial. And I had no idea how far it really went, or what else I was about to find out. I thought I was prepared for the worst. I thought seeing her with Marcus was the breaking point. But I had no idea that what was coming next would shake me more than anything I'd already seen. A few days passed. I kept things calm on the surface. Pretended everything was fine while I figured out how to bring it up. But inside, the tension was unbearable. I was living two lives, the one where I acted like the caring boyfriend, and the one where I quietly dug deeper into the truth. It was a random Thursday evening when everything shifted. I was home alone, scrolling through old photos of us, trying to figure out where the lies started, when her iPad lit up on the side table. She had left it at my place the week before. I never touched it. But this time, a message popped up. Not just a message, a video. And I don't know what made me open it. Maybe it was curiosity, or maybe it was that sick feeling in my gut that had become too familiar. What I saw made my hands go cold. It wasn't from Marcus. It was from someone else entirely. A new name. One I didn't recognize. The video was short, barely 10 seconds, but the context was loud and clear. It wasn't even about the content as much as the way he spoke to her. The comfort. The tone. The way he ended it with, "Same time next week?" Like this wasn't new. Like he'd done this before. That was the moment the second plot twist hit me. It wasn't just Marcus. She had been seeing more than one person. At the same time. And suddenly, it wasn't just infidelity, it was layers of deception that I couldn't even begin to untangle. This wasn't a love triangle. It was a web. And I had no idea how long I'd been trapped in it. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not my friends, not my sister, not even the guy who messaged me the first time. I felt embarrassed, like the longer I stayed quiet, the more I was helping her keep the lie alive. I kept replaying all the signs I missed. The late replies. The vague answers. The sudden mood changes. They all made sense now, but in the moment, I had ignored them because I trusted her. And now, I couldn't trust anything. What hurt even more was realizing how easily she lived this double life. She had smiled at me while making plans with someone else. Held my hand while texting another man. The betrayal wasn't just about the cheating anymore, it was about how she looked me in the eyes every day and pretended to love me. That kind of deception cuts deeper than words. I knew I couldn't avoid it any longer. The next time I saw her, I would have to confront everything. But I also knew, this wasn't going to end the way I thought. Something still didn't add up. I asked her to meet me the next evening. No games, no vague texts. Just, "Can we talk? It's important." She agreed without hesitation, probably thinking it was just another couple thing. Maybe even thinking I'd be apologizing for being distant. That's how confident she'd gotten, how normal lying must have felt to her by now. We met at the same cafe I'd seen her with Marcus. Something about that felt right. Like the truth had to come out where the lies had been hiding. She showed up in that same casual way, greeting me with a smile like nothing was wrong. But I didn't smile back. I just looked at her and said, "I know." Her face didn't change right away, but I saw it, that tiny pause in her eyes, like her mind was racing to figure out what I meant. I let the silence hang before I said, "I saw you with him. I know about Marcus, and the other guy." That cracked her. She looked down, then back at me, trying to piece together a response. At first, she denied it. Of course she did. What are you talking about? But I was ready this time. I showed her the messages. The video. The note. Each one hit her harder than the last. Her voice dropped. It wasn't supposed to be like this, she said. I didn't mean to hurt you. She tried to cry. Said it started when we were going through that rough patch a few months ago. That she felt disconnected, confused. I listened. But none of it felt like enough anymore. None of it excused how she carried on two lives and made me feel like a fool in both. That should have been it. That should have been the end. But just as I stood up to leave, she whispered something that stopped me cold. It wasn't just me. I turned slowly. What do you mean? She looked straight at me and said, You think Marcus found me by chance? He didn't. Someone sent him. Someone you know. That twist hit me like a punch to the chest. My first instinct was denial. But then it clicked. One of my own friends, the one who first introduced us, had been acting strange lately. He'd stopped checking in. Avoided group hangouts. I'd brushed it off. But suddenly, it made sense. Emily didn't just betray me. Someone from my own circle had fed this, maybe even pushed it forward. The cheating, the lies, they were bad enough. But knowing someone I trusted might have had a hand in all of it? That changed everything. I walked away that night feeling like the story wasn't just hers anymore. It was ours, all of us caught in something far messier than I ever expected. And even though the relationship was over, I knew the truth wasn't done unraveling yet. After that night, everything changed. I didn't reach out to her again, and I didn't need more proof. The truth had already done enough damage. But what stayed with me more than her betrayal was that final twist, the idea that someone from my own circle had a hand in breaking what I thought was real. It wasn't just a story about infidelity anymore. It had become a lesson about trust, about how betrayal can come from both expected and unexpected places. I eventually confronted the friend she had mentioned. We met up like we used to, but this time, the energy was different. I brought it up directly, no anger, just quiet truth. He didn't deny it. In fact, he looked almost relieved. He admitted to having feelings for her before we even got together. Said he tried to move on, but when things between us got rocky, she reached out to him, and it all spiraled from there. It didn't make it right. Nothing would. But in some strange way, it gave me closure. I walked away from both of them, not out of hate, but out of self-respect. I knew I deserved better. It took time, but I slowly started healing. I stopped looking for explanations and started focusing on myself. The hardest part was learning to trust again, not just others, but my own gut. Because deep down, I always knew something wasn't right. I just didn't want to believe it. Looking back, the most painful part wasn't that she cheated. It was that she kept choosing to do it, again and again, even after calling it a mistake. That word, a mistake, doesn't mean anything when it's repeated. A mistake is a moment. A pattern is a choice. And she chose that life while pretending to be in mine. If you've ever been in a situation like this, where you feel something's wrong but can't quite prove it, listen to that voice inside. Sometimes the silence between words says more than the words themselves. And sometimes, walking away is the bravest thing you can do, not for revenge, but for peace. In the end, she said it was a mistake. But the truth? She never stopped. And that's what helped me finally stop waiting for answers, and start moving forward. 47.